How's your week been since we last spoke?
It's been alright, but I'm sick, so that doesn't help.
Yeah.
I've got like blades in my throat. But hopefully it's gone by tomorrow so I can go to dance class. And
I hope so too. And probably just from, like you said, the aircon and stuff.
And your week?
My week's also been okay. Work's been, work. I've just felt off this week a little bit, just a bit meh, I guess.
Yeah, well, our technical difficulties attest to that. It's just one of those weeks.
It is the new moon in Pisces tonight, and I don't know what this energy holds for us, but apparently, if this is anything to go off of, it's going to be an interesting month.
Well, I mean, there's literally like a war happening, so what else could they... Yeah. Well, let's not say that.
Yeah, no, please, nothing else. Oh yeah, I did, in my notes, want to mention that I spoke about the Ukraine the whole time, and I have since found out that it's not the Ukraine, it's just Ukraine. Like you'd say South Africa, not the South Africa. I kept on saying the Ukraine, yes.
But I mean, I don't think anyone would have noticed.
I noticed while I was editing. I'm like, oh my gosh, please. I don't know why, because you wouldn't say the Amsterdam or... Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But we say the United States.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I was just... I didn't know. I can't even say I was being stupid. I was just ignorant. I didn't know.
Well, I didn't even listen to last episode yet, so I can't say anything.
But I just did want to mention, because obviously the war's happening, and I just wanted to touch on the obvious racial discrimination that was going on with the Ukrainian the citizens trying to flee, the refugees I should say trying to flee, and people from Africa, and especially black people of color, were definitely treated completely.
And Indians and Asians were as well.
Yes, as well. So,
I mean, I watched an interview with the one dude, and he said what I thought, which is I understand that it's your country and you want to protect your nationals first, but there's no need to mistreat other people because you're focusing on your citizens. And how do you know that someone is not a proper citizen just by looking at them? If you check their papers and you're okay, I'm gonna let 5 nationals go first and then you, fine, but the way people were being treated was not right at all.
Exactly. They're still refugees at the end of the day. Whether they were there for whatever reason, they're people trying to escape from a literal war, and just facing more hardship in the place they're trying to seek solace. And I just feel like that's really unfair, and in the times of war still facing discrimination. How can the world, but also how some of the media outlets have described the war. I'm sure everyone has seen some of the videos where journalists were saying, this is a fairly civilized country. It's not, it's not like third world country where you'd expect these things to happen.
Oh, wow.
And then there was another person who was saying, these are people with blue eyes and blonde hair being bombed or killed or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just really? Does it really matter? Does it really freaking matter?
Oh, so because you blonde hair and blue eyes, you're a superior and you shouldn't be subject to things like that. What the hell?
That sounds a little bit like a blast from the past.
Yeah. Your chicken agrees.
Exactly. No. I saw that, I was just flabbergasted.
It's like the one reporter, he said, war brings out the best in people, but it also can bring out the worst in people, and it can show the reality of what people are actually like. So,
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be terrible people around. For example, those people at the borders mistreating people of color. That's a handful of people. It's not obviously the general public, but we have to also take note of it. We're not fixating on it and saying but there's racism and the Ukrainian people. No, it's a handful of people who are being stupid.
Yeah, or the Polish or whoever's charge of the border patrol or control.
Yeah, it sucks. Just people
check
are going
your
through enough.
Just at the door.
Yeah. Welcome. This is Lord Omen.
Welcome to Law and Omen.
I thought you were gonna spit at your computer for a second.
I'm Chanelle.
I'm Kristin. We're back with another episode.
True crime and paranormal podcast.
Whoop whoop.
As whoop whoop as you can get with this type of information.
Yeah.
But I have a few cases. I've made a spreadsheet with all of the cases that I come across as I'm doing research. And I already have a list of 31 cases that I can research.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, so you at least have 31 more episodes.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Well, what are we on, 12 now? This one's the 12th, right?
Yeah, this is the 12th one, yeah. And we're almost at 500 downloads.
Yeah, we finally hit 400 downloads today.
Thank you for all the downloads, and
we're surprised.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly didn't think anyone would ever listen to this.
Yeah.
Just thank you for everyone who has downloaded and everyone who has referred us to a friend. Mm-hmm. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, and all the likes and follows and all that. It's nice to know that people are actually hearing us and actually like what we do. That's very strange. Because sometimes we don't like what we do.
Yeah, sometimes the research is difficult. Like I told you, preparing for this story, I had done the research and I had all of my sources already compiled. I just actually had to physically write the case or the story down.
Yeah.
These were particularly difficult. Yeah, and you'll see why, but that makes it difficult to sit down and write about it and reread what you've read on the internet. And yeah, especially like I said, in these cases, it's a little bit difficult. It's a difficult pill to swallow, I guess. Can the dog stop barking, please? I feel like it is also something that needs to be done sometimes, because the cases that I'm going to cover are... I just hope someone has some information on them, because if not, the cases are already cold. And I mention it at the end of my case that we don't have a cold case task force. We don't have a... Nope. We don't have a cold case...
Department?
Department.
Yeah.
Yes. So cases that go cold kind of just gather dust on the shelves. Usually the only way that they get solved is if the murderer or the suspect, whatever, commits another crime and they get arrested on other charges, and then later along the way they find out, this cold case is connected to this person, but there's no physical task force dedicated to cold cases.
That's terrible. So what you're saying is that you, me, and Nicole Engelbrecht should start the task force and just solve all the cold cases.
Nicole, if you're interested.
I mean, I doubt she listens to this.
Yeah, me too, but yeah, that's something that really broke my heart when I saw it. And when I saw that this is the reason I'm doing these 3 cases, because the article that it was posted in specifically said that the 3 cases that I'm going to be covering were cases that were shelved as closed or withdrawn in 2021. So basically, cold cases, they just don't have enough evidence. So yeah, I hope, and the reason I'm doing these stories is I just hope that there's someone out there who knows some information regarding these cases, and maybe this gives them the opportunity to just speak up, or not the opportunity, the
push?
The push, yes. The push to speak up and go to the police and let them know whatever they know. Yeah, because the 3 cases that I'm going to be covering are all, like I said, cold cases that happened many years ago. Well, 2005 and 2006. So quite a few years ago. And they were all little girls.
Of course.
So,
earlier when you were describing without telling me, the first thought was this is going to be kids, isn't it? This is going to be something terrible with kids.
Yeah. It's very difficult to do cases on children, but I think that it's so necessary, and not that any victim should be placed above another victim, but it is especially sad when children are involved in these things. It really just breaks my heart, and at the same time makes me so angry because I will lose it if I ever came across someone who abuses kids.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just going to start by saying that I'm going to be talking about Kim Abrams, Joey Joseph, and Celine Cowley today. Disclaimer, the following stories contain graphic content and might not be suitable for everyone. The sources I used to find the information will be listed below in the show description, and everything I say is my own opinion unless stated as fact. I'm going to start off with Kim Abrams. And like I said, I am covering these stories because they were shelved as closed or withdrawn in 2021. And I just want to bring attention back to these cases. And I really want to ask anyone who knows anything to please get in contact with the police. The families of these children deserve some semblance of justice, and they can't fight this alone. There needs to be more attention brought to these cases, I feel like. Especially when you hear each case individually. Okay, so Kim Abrams. The first thing I have to say about this case is that the smaller details change from source to source. And I'm going to tell you all the versions that I found, because literally, if I tell you the information would change from one article to the next, it was so difficult to understand the timeline, first of all, and then the reason that Kim was outside. Yeah. Which I'll get to. Okay, so Kim Abrams lived in Delft, Cape Town. Delft is a township located on the outskirts of Cape Town, close to the Cape Town International Airport. It's about 10 kilometers away, if you want to be exact. It's a really big township. It's actually divided into 7 divisions.
Oh, jeez. I didn't realize it's that big.
Neither did I. So the 7 divisions are called Delft South, also known as Suburban, Voorburg, Leiden or Delft Central, Eindhoven, Roosendaal, and The Hague. Oh. And the new symphony section.
Okay, that's such weird names.
I know.
The freaking Hague.
The Hague. So she lived in The Hague. As stated in an article, my sources will, like I said, be in the description. But when I googled where she was found, Leiden Secondary School wasn't too far away from where she was found. So I'm not 100% sure on the exact geography. Yeah. But nonetheless, on Saturday, the 13th of August, Kim Abrams, 6, left her house to run an errand. So here is where the sources get confused. Yeah. Or the sources say multiple things. Yeah. So in one source I read that Kim had to live in a world full of strife and drugs, and she was regularly used as a messenger between her parents and friends. Oh, that's terrible. Why are the dogs barking this much? Let me just go close the front door and see if that makes a difference. All right. The dogs are barking at the horse, so this is not going to stop until the horse leaves. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So this was said by her great-grandmother. I didn't include any of the family's names, just because I want to respect privacy and stuff like that, and I'd rather speak about the victim and then anyone who maybe was involved in the crime. But I tried to keep out family names, even though they are available in the articles and stuff. I don't know their feeling about having their name read all over the place. Yeah. But then in another source, it said that Kim's mother, who was 22 at the time, said she realized that her daughter was missing when she had not returned home by 9:30 p.m. with the candles she had been asked to buy and food she had to collect from a neighbor's house. Then in another source, she said that she went missing after being sent to a neighbor's house to borrow 5 rand for a loaf of bread. And then finally, another source said that she was last seen playing ball with her brother in the front house while her parents were indoors smoking.
Okay. That's very, very different accounts.
Lots of different stories, and the time that she went missing is also vague. Like, some sources said that she was only asked to go out at 10 o'clock at night. Others said her mom phoned the police after she noticed that she hadn't returned by 9:30.
Yeah.
Like, all over the place. The information online is all over the place. Her great-grandmother said that she had a close relationship with Kim, and she took care of her over the holidays, dressing her up to look like a little lady.
Cute.
You know, playing dress up and stuff like that.
Imagine having a great-grandmother. Like, I know we all have one, but, like, having them be alive, like...
I met my one great-grandmother.
Really? That's so cool.
But I didn't like her.
I mean, even one of my grandparents was dead when I was born. So, like, I only had the 3 growing up. So, like, the thought of a great-grandparent is just...
It was also said that Kim was a really friendly little girl who always chatted to everyone in the neighborhood. And she... Seriously, dogs? And then I found another source with the following information from a great-grandmother as well. When they asked if she thought that Kim would have left with a stranger, because that was also the running idea of what might have happened in the beginning. And she said she was a careful child, even a bit scared. She always prayed for the safekeeping of her brother and her. She also wrote her own little hymns. So she really didn't believe that she would have followed someone unknown to her into the night. So like I mentioned, it's a bit unclear as to what the errand was that she was running and what time exactly that it happened, because I found information that said her mother only sent her out to run the errand at 10 p.m, like I said, and then when she didn't return, they tried looking for her, and by 1 a.m. they assumed that she had gone to her grandmother for the night. That was what I read in one source. I mean,
all of that is just problematic. Like,
she's 6.
Yeah, why would you send her somewhere at 10 at night, and then you're going to wait that long to be like, oh, maybe we should check the grandmas? So, whichever version is true, it's all messed up.
And then I also found a source where Kim's mom said that they phoned the police around 10 p.m, but they didn't come. And then the morning at 7 a.m, they phoned them again, and 2 constables arrived. Mrs. Abrams said, in tears streaming down her face, "But by the time they got here, my husband had found her." So trigger warning. Trigger warning. It's unclear exactly what led up to discovering Kim's body, but when they did, Kim was found face down with her jeans around her ankles in the polluted coffee dump. It was like apparently also a very polluted bit of water with like mud and whatever. The area where she was found in was also apparently called Bush of Evil. I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
But it's basically this enormous overgrown piece of like bush, and it's not even an endemic plant, it's an invasive species. It's like completely overgrown, it's like very dense, and a lot of rapes and crimes used to happen there, especially against children. They actually found several bodies there.
Jeez.
And what makes it worse is that at the time of Kim's disappearance and murder, the street light above that area wasn't even working. It was broken, even though it had been reported to the municipality.
That's what irritates me. Like, that's now the second thing now, where the cops don't want to come into those areas, and they don't want to, like, it's dangerous, I'm not going to do it. It's like, that's your damn job. And then municipality as well, they're like, it's a low priority, not going to do our jobs. So that those people have to fend for themselves, and that's so not fair.
No. So I am going to do a little bit more research into whether or not the bush has been cleared. And I think I want to... I think I want to also maybe cover the bush in a separate episode. That's why I didn't include too much, but basically that's what it came down to. It was just this massive overgrown bush that basically served as a protection against eyes of other people and allowed unscrupulous people to do as they please. It was said that Kim's father, Gerald Abrams, who was 24 at the time, was led directly to the scene by an 18-year-old male friend, and he later took the police there. In one of the sources, they mentioned Gerald could not stand looking at his child in that condition, and he ran off.
Do we know that the friend didn't do it?
It had appeared as if she had been strangled. I'm just gonna skip over because you'll find out. Literally now. It had appeared as if she had been strangled, and the clothes of the friend, Jeremy Holmes, that he had been wearing on Saturday night, that she went missing, was later found in a neighbour's dustbin.
Oh.
He was subsequently arrested after being taken in for questioning. In July 2009, so this is 4 years afterwards, he was acquitted at the Blue Downs Magistrates Court, as there was no DNA evidence or witnesses who could link him to the murder.
Yeah.
Cops discovered blood spots on Holmes's t-shirt on the day that he was arrested, but apparently this was his own. During this time, he also dropped a complete bombshell through his lawyers. He said that he and a friend had seen Abrams, Gerald, the father, walk into the dense bush with Kim on his shoulders at 9 p.m. on the night that she vanished.
Okay.
Then he went on to say that Gerald asked him to, quote, join him in the bush, unquote. And then apparently he heard Kim making gurgling sounds.
Okay.
And then he also mentioned that both he and Gerald, the father, had been high on took on the night of Kim's disappearance.
Okay, so he definitely did it.
We don't know, because this is an unsolved case.
Mm-hmm.
Police took Gerald Abrams in for questioning, but he was released. Then, on the 28th of February 2008, with the title Father Appears in Court for Sexual Assault, was an article that was released. I don't know why I wrote this freaking sentence so stupidly. Probably because this is where I stopped for a little bit and then picked up again. So on the 28th of February, an article was released with the title Father Appears in Court for Sex Assault. Who is this father, you might ask? Gerald Abrams. He was released on a 1,000 rand bail after he appeared in court for allegedly attacking a teen girl. The Daily Voice reported that she was 14,
Jeez.
claimed to have had a good relationship with him before all of this happened. Like he was a family friend, it seems. And I don't want to go too much into details because the article was pretty detailed and I just don't feel the need to go into it.
Yeah.
But trigger warning, he basically got into bed with her and touched her inappropriately.
Okay.
Kim's mother didn't believe that he was involved in Kim's death, stating that he loved his children and was actually overprotective of them. In this article, the same one where they talk about him being in court for the sexual offense that he committed against this 14-year-old, it stated that, quote, Abraham's wife, Gerald, of 9 months, has moved out of their home with their son, who's 2. So I'm not 100% sure if this woman is still, like, Kim's mother, because this had happened years ago, or if this was a new partner that he had.
Okay, right.
But anyway, like, she moved out.
Yeah.
In a 2018 article, the family said that they hope the police do not abandon her case, saying they know the killer and believe he can still be convicted if the cops do a proper job this time around. Kim's grandmother said in the same article that she still has a teddy bear that belonged to Kim, displayed in a lounge next to her picture. She said the police failed Kim. They messed up the case. We know who the killer is. We know who did this to Kim. There is not a day that goes by where we do not speak about Kim. We miss her so much and we owe her this. They also said that they have completely lost contact with Gerald since, which to me is a little bit of a red flag, at least an orange flag. In June 2021, this was in the article that I read that led me to cover these cases, Captain F.C. van Wyk said, "Be advised that in the murder case of Kim Abrams, the case was withdrawn.
Oh, case
So-
was withdrawn. What does that mean?
Because the previous Holmes was acquitted of the case. There's no new information that came out. The case has been withdrawn. So it's basically just a case sitting on the shelves gathering dust.
Okay. So it's like withdrawn from active investigating, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the next case is the case of Joey Joseph. And unfortunately, this case has a lot less information.
Okay.
Scaringly little information. It's really sad. Basically, all I could find was that in September 2005, I couldn't really even find the exact date. 3-year-old Joey Joseph was abducted from outside of her home and was later found also in the Bush of Evil.
Really?
And also in 2005.
3 years old.
3. So, the Morning Delft residents held a memorial march to the site with Joey's parents and her grandparents leading the march, and they all vowed to clear the overgrown area. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if it has since been cleared. I am definitely going to look into that.
Yes.
And Joey's case has been shelved due to lack of evidence, and it would be reopened this year if there is new evidence. So the next brought forward date is in September. It just says September 2022
So there's still time.
for any new information.
Nice.
So that's literally all the information on Joey Joseph. But if you know anything regarding her disappearance, her abduction and murder, if you saw anything weird in September 2005 during that time, please contact the police. Please. The fact that there's so little out on her case is so sad.
Yeah.
Because I literally couldn't even find a story on a person of interest or anything. There was so little coverage on this case.
And that like speaks to like the problem we face, like with femicide and stuff. Like there's just so much crime against women. People don't even bother reporting on all of them because you can't report on all of the crimes. You can't.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it would be too much to just try and report on all of it, which is so sad. And like I just 3 years old and 6 years old, you know, like I just can't fathom how you. It's like people who abuse animals and stuff. I just how do you look at something that needs your help? That's so like.
It's so fragile.
Yes, and you're still just, I'm gonna hurt this, like this person, this animal, whatever. Not putting obviously humans and animals on the same. You know what I mean. Like these are people and that you're supposed to love and care for, and then like it's
Especially
a baby,
child.
They're babies.
Exactly. How?
Like I can't understand. Like
I can't.
It's a 3-year-old. It's like literally a baby. It's not even close to ever having its first period yet, and you're like, I'm gonna have sex with this person. Like how? Like what is wrong with you?
Pedophilia is
It's
above like anything that I can ever understand.
It's just so infuriating.
It really is. Like it's difficult not to want to get aggressive about it, or want to seek violence as a measure, as a means of restoring the peace, which won't help. Nothing will help really, because they're dead. It's been done. And not that I'm saying, oh, now they must just move on.
Oh, no.
Like, whatever. Not at all. But it's just, I don't understand.
Yeah. And I don't want to understand either.
No. And so Celine Cowley is the next case, and this case is just as tough. Tough isn't even the operative word, and anyway.
Can I leave?
So Celine, you can leave, and I'll just record this last part on my own.
Yeah, I'll still have to edit it. So.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So Celine disappeared on a Sunday in August 2006. Not sure exactly of the date. I don't understand why in articles people don't mention the specific date, or journalists don't mention the specific date that it happened. They usually just say this past Monday, or this, or whatever. But with this case, they reported like that, and then the dates didn't match up when I went to go and look on the calendar.
Okay, well that's...
There were two separate sources, and they both reported something different. Celine disappeared on a Sunday in August 2006 after going to a nearby shop. She was 4 years old, but I also read 5 on some sources as well. And this happened in Ravensmeet, not too far from a dilapidated house called Broken Palace, where more than 20 people or 5 families lived.
Oh, wow, okay.
So Celine's grandmother lived in Broken Palace, and Celine had been found 3 doors away, buried under leaves in the backyard. Some people in the community have said that the house is nothing extraordinary, is nothing weird going on or whatever, but others have labelled it as an informal brothel and a place where people would go and abuse drugs and alcohol over the weekends. An anonymous resident said, quote, "That has become a whorehouse, especially on weekends. There are men who sit there and drink excessively, and when they're drunk, they perform. The residents of those rooms can't say anything to them because they will beat them or stab them." Not long after Celine's body was found, that fucking Rooster. Not long after Celine's body had been found, 35-year-old man pleaded guilty to her rape and murder. James Barnes had also helped search for Celine,
of course,
and had apparently known her since she was born. He was basically like an uncle to her, and had actually grown up in this... he had been in the same house, or he'd lived in the same house that she grew up in.
Okay.
And he basically helped raise her.
Wow.
Helped raise her.
That's extra just screwed up. So you like groomed her, basically.
Basically. Rachel Bantam, a friend of the Cowley family, said, quote, "He stood next to me and said if he found the person who did this to Celine, he would kill that person. Little did we know that he was the killer himself," unquote.
Jeez.
In a sworn statement by Barnes, read out by his lawyer Philip Bredenhan, he said that while he may have been drunk, he knew what he was doing. Trigger warning. He admitted to raping Celine and using her underwear to strangle her. Although, I also read in another source that there was a stab wound found in her head as well. Which was never mentioned again, which I feel is really weird.
Yeah, that is strange.
In 2007, so a year later, Barnes claimed that he had been pressured into pleading guilty, but the state opposed him to wanting to change his plea, obviously. He claimed that the police assaulted him and pressured him into confessing. In court, it came out that only 2 days before Celine's murder, Barnes had a heated argument with Celine's mother. Testifying in Afrikaans, Cowley said Barnes cursed her by saying, "Jy sal sien wat jou oorkom. Jy sal sien wat maak ek." In English, "You will see what happens to you. You'll see what I'll do." They argued because he and a friend were smoking buttons or Mandrax tablets near her house. That's what she said.
Okay.
So just Mandrax is a sedative and a hypnotic that's very similar to, and its effects to barbiturates. So it's very similar. The court had also heard testimony from a man who lived in the same street, Hilton Adams, and he said that he had seen Barnes with Celine at about 8 p.m. on the night that she had disappeared. So this is an excerpt taken from the article. It said Celine had arrived, and this is apparently also what Hilton had said in court. Celine arrived at number 20A in 11th Avenue, that's the street that she also lived in, where RV stayed, Uncle RV stayed. He and Barnes had been at the house watching TV, apparently. Adams said that he and Barnes walked Celine home, which was just 4 houses away,
Yeah.
where he then left Barnes alone with her in the yard.
Okay.
This is a direct quote. James and I walked and talked. Celine was with us, and I said he should take Celine home because they live in the same yard. Before I left, I gave Celine a packet of chips, said Adams. He said he did not see them enter the house, but apparently he saw them in the yard.
Okay. Is that the same yard she was found in?
Well, she was found 3 doors down. So,
okay, right.
But very, very close.
Yeah.
Very, very close.
Also, I hate that that's a band. 3 doors down. That's all I think of it.
Defense advocate Johan Solomons asked why Cowley and Adams had not mentioned their conversation in their statements. So this only came out in court.
Yeah.
If it was true, then it would be in your statements, he said. He asked why Adams had also written 2 statements. One was written on the 1st of August, the year before, so 2006, and the second one 8 days later. In the second statement, Adams referred to his conversation with Cowley, in which he mentioned seeing Barnes and Celine the night before.
So his first statement was given like a year after the crime.
No. So the court hearing happened a year later.
Okay.
So he was saying why he had written 2 statements, one in August. But you see here it says August 1st last year, so this must have happened in July, not in August. Because if he wrote his statement on the 1st of August, this happened in late July. And this is what I mean by the weird reporting of this case.
Yeah, there's so many discrepancies.
All the cases, really. Yeah, so he had written his statement the same year that it happened, but this was just in court 1 year later, so he was asking about last year when the murder happened.
Okay.
And then he said, is it not because you were a possible suspect? That's what Solomons asked. And then Adams denied that he was ever a suspect. Then, in a shocking turn of events, the court ruled that James Barnes was not guilty. The DNA collected from the rape kit couldn't be connected with certainty to any specific person because the genetic material was insufficient to determine identity, which is so frustrating.
And it just breaks my heart that it's like they had to do a rape kit on, like, what, a 4-year-old?
A 4 or 5-year-old, yeah.
That's just, I can't understand.
Captain F.C. van Wyk said in the 2021 article that led me to these stories, be advised that Ravensmeet 11/08/2006 murder refers. The accused was arrested, charged, and was found not guilty or acquitted by court. Since no information came to light, the said case is still filed in archives. So all these cases remain unsolved, and as I said, South Africa does not have a cold case squad. Criminologist Guy Lamb said, quote, indeed, there is no police cold case squad. All the crimes generally only get solved if a perpetrator is apprehended for a different crime by the police, and then this person confesses to committing previous crimes. There have been occasions where older crimes have been solved because of the dodged commitment of investigating officers. In other instances, cold cases may be solved where there is considerable public concern and media attention about them, which is exactly why I wanted to cover them.
Yeah.
Continuing the quote, but in general, older violent crime cases, especially in high crime areas such as Delft and Ravensmeet, don't get solved due to the high numbers of new cases, with detectives often being overwhelmed by such cases. There were over 200 murder cases reported in Delft last year.
That is too many.
That was in 2020, but I know for a fact that the murder rate has gone up.
Oh yeah, now with because that was 2020, but like COVID and being locked in your house with people.
Exactly. So once again, this is why I've covered these 3 cases, because as in the last little bit that he said, in other instances, cold cases may be solved when there's a lot of media coverage and public concern. That's basically why I wanted to cover these 3 cases, to try and see if, first of all, if anyone doesn't know anything, or if there can just be a little bit of commotion surrounding these cases. And I know there are only 3 cases of thousands that are probably still unsolved, but
it's a start.
These are 3 little girls. These are 3 little girls that have lost their lives.
Yeah, like babies. They're babies.
And exactly, and we still don't know who's done this.
Yeah.
No one's been sentenced for these crimes.
And imagine you're the parents of those kids, and like you have no justice, and because you're, in an area police don't really want to deal with, you're just forgotten, or people just don't want to try and put in the work. It's like, I understand, there's not a lot to go on maybe, but like try at least.
Yeah.
But then also, like you said, there's so many crimes. Where do the police focus their attention?
Yeah, where do you start? And I mean, I think there's probably so many cold cases that even if you did start a cold case squad, where the hell do you begin with that?
Yeah.
How do you prioritize cold cases,
That's true.
Especially if it would be a new department being created.
I mean, do you start like with the most recent ones? Because there's...
I guess so.
Yeah, because there's more chance maybe of finding them alive still or something, But
I think so. I think so, but...
Oh, it's so sad. Those poor babies, those poor moms.
Yeah.
Like, okay, not obviously you might not be the best mom or whatever, but it's still your kid. It's still your baby. You might not be the best dad, but it's still your baby. And the fact that there's just an area that's just crime-ridden, the bush that you're gonna cover.
Yeah.
That there is such a place that people like, don't go near there. It's like the scary woods in fairy tales. So it's like, don't go near there. Yeah. Something bad's the wolf's gonna get you. It's real for some people, Mm-hmm. And it's sad that kids have to be in an area where that's their reality.
Exactly, and I really feel for the families and obviously the 3 victims.
Yeah, so you're going to say the names again?
What they went through in their last minutes of living, And once again, the victims are Kim Abrams, Joey Joseph, and Celine Cowley.
And so young.
And they deserve justice.
They do.
They was 6, 3, and 4 or 5.
Jeez. That's so... Oh, my God. The fact that they're, like, in that little age range, it's so... And again, that, like, whether you're drugged up or whatever, I've been drunk where I don't know what I'm doing, but I still didn't do anything where I purposefully went out to hurt another person. Like, you can be under the influence, but you still have somewhere inside of you something guiding you. So what does it say about you?
Cognizance.
Yeah. So
of what you're doing.
Yeah. If you're on drugs and you do something bad, that bad was probably in you already, so you can't blame the drugs then. You have to take responsibility that you're a crappy person. Like, it's...
it doesn't take away, like you said, your responsibility. Yeah. It's still... but especially since that guy said, the one that was apprehended for Celine Cowley's case, where he said that he was drunk but he knew what he was doing.
Exactly. That's just...
Fuck off.
Yeah, don't try and minimize what you've done.
And that to me... Sorry.
No.
Exactly, and that to me just says, I don't feel like he was coerced into a confession, because that detail just... Why would you add something like that if you're being coerced into saying that you did it, admitting whatever? It's just such a weird thing for me, like, that he just randomly decided to say, oh, I was drunk, but I knew what I was doing.
And also, like, if you, with the South African law, like, you're a man and you say, I was drunk and I slept with someone, that counts as rape, like, immediately in the eyes of the law, because you or that person might not be in the position where you can make a decision. Especially if you're talking about a child already. So say that, like, you're double damning yourself by, like, saying that anyway. So I don't know. It's just so sad that no one's paid the price for what they've done.
It's just, like I said, please, if anyone knows anything, just get into contact with police. It's being weird again. It's saying
Hello?
Trying to get you back on the call. Hello. It's
Hello.
weird again. It's
Yeah.
saying
I just come back and it says, oh snap, something went wrong. Let's reload and see what
it's from
happens.
your side.
Yeah, that's weird. Visiting an untrustworthy website has been prevented.
I'll just call you again.
Jeez, what is happening today?
Today is, like I said, this is a chaotic episode, honestly. Now this must just fucking mute. Now it won't mute. Oh god. Okay, there we go. Oh, it says you're unavailable.
Oh my word. Jeez, what is happening?
We've never experienced this much technical difficulty.
And you know what's weird is that, like, I recently saged the house. And now, after I saged, now things are crazy.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Maybe I chucked out the wrong thing, you know? Because I hadn't saged in such a long
Maybe you
time.
must phone me.
It's still...
Did you have windows open when you saged?
Like, you know, the laptop was on.
What?
Wait, Windows was on.
What?
Did you say that I have Windows on?
No.
Yes, the windows were open.
I asked. I'm asking if the windows were open. Jesus, I just got it fried. Oh my word.
Yes, the windows were open.
Okay.
Yes, the windows was on and the windows were open. I even made sure to light incense after I saged, you know, to replace the energies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of, I think I want to quickly light some incense.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Sorry.
Maybe some sage incense.
I don't have sage, but I have Palo Santo. Which is basically the same.
What's on your t-shirt? Oh, skeletons. Ooh, that's cool.
Patrick's t-shirt. Actually Patrick's, but I took it.
Oh, is that Zoo York?
It's...
I used to love that brand.
Yeah.
I used to buy my Zoo York from the boys section all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could never find in, like, the girls section. And then I still found this one guy who I thought was really attractive, and he was wearing the same Zoo York t-shirt I had, and I was like, maybe that means he's a great guy, and he wasn't.
Oh, of course. We wear the same clothes. He's a good person.
No, we like the same brand. We're both cool. Did you just move your chair?
The pillow that I was sitting on. It's flat because of my ass.
Oh, I just realized that I have to talk now. Okay. Where are my notes?
You said you did this last week as well.
Oh, Lord. Well, at least I did my research the day before. Well, today, before the recording started, I actually watched some videos on the subject as well. So,
Oh, nice.
I did a lot of research onto this. So there's going to be, I think, 2 direct quotes where I'm just going to quote paragraphs from, like, websites that I've went to, but they will be in the show notes. And I will say when it is a direct quote and not my interpretation. So, Chanelle's going to hate this, but we're going to be talking about a story that starts in a house that is now called the Artist's House, located at 534 Eaton Street, Key West, Florida. The house was built between 1890 and 1898, which is quite a big span. A boy called Robert Eugene Otto was born October 25th, 1900, and he lived there with his parents, who were quite well off and influential in the community. They were a prominent family from Germany who had emigrated to the US. Robert was the youngest of 4 children.
I know the story.
I had to look at his face all day, okay?
Oh. Rather you than me.
On his 4th birthday, he was given a doll. And might I add that it is the most handsome, precious doll I've ever seen in my life. He is the most wonderful boy that ever was.
It is not. It is not.
No, Chanelle, it is.
It is not.
Oh my god, do you want to get cursed?
Fuck. It's great.
The accounts of how this boy got the doll are either that his grandfather gave it to him, but the predominant theory is that one of the family's, I want to say maids, but I guess slaves, it is the 1800s, that she gave him this doll, but she first cursed it and like had made this herself. But in reality,
Can't blame her.
Yeah, because apparently the family, like the parents, were not very nice to their slaves, and they,
I would imagine most people weren't, because you think you own a literal human being.
Yeah, like one of the sources said that they were like quite cruel and like didn't treat them very well, obviously, and stuff. And these are people from Haiti, you know, they're Haitian, so they practice their own religion, which, you know, to the distinguished white people, you know, I say with the flourish, is obviously just evil and against your, you know, you want to clutch your claws.
What? Fuck you.
Oh, sorry.
When you did that. Jeez. I'm pee my pants now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was ready to run away. You don't understand. I would have had my headphones on still, but I would have been out the fucking door.
Sorry.
It's okay.
No.
I just didn't expect that.
I just meant that in the 1800s, witchcraft went against my delicate constitution.
Yeah, I know. But when you did that, like, I was like, oh my gosh, she has seen something and she does not know how to verbalize it. Just run away.
The amount of times that Bass has been driving and I've been with him and I'm like, oh, whatever. And he's like, what? And he's like gotten a fright and thought like there was something in the road or like something he didn't see. And he's like, geez, stop doing that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So, yes. So this family didn't treat their slaves properly. I mean, one source I saw said that they had a plantation. They were a wealthy family from Germany. They immigrated. So you don't know like what. I mean, I can't remember what their business was. There was like a bit on the parents, but I was like, I'm not gonna go. This is not about the parents, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, also a typical rich family. They've got servants looking after the kid as well, you know, like, you don't know how hands-on they were with their kid. The whole creepy story is that this Haitian slave cursed it and gave it to the boy before she was fired because they caught her doing witchcraft. But the reality is that it was probably given to him by his grandfather because it was made by the Steiff company of Germany in 1904. So the grandfather probably went to a trip to Germany, or the mother went, because the direct quote. There's evidence that Jean's mother may have brought Robert to the US after returning home from a trip to Hamburg on September 4th, 1904. Minnie Otto, his mother, is on the passenger list for Hamburg America Line's Graf Waldersee a little over 1 month before Jean's birthday on October 25th. So it's probably that his mom went home and then brought this back as a gift for his birthday.
Yeah.
So either way, I think that the whole angry slave servant story is not... because they want to put magic in it some way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, this doll became this boy's best friend. And he started taking it everywhere with him. And this doll is 3 foot 4 inches tall. Or 1 meter tall.
I hate big dolls.
Yes. It's 101 centimeters tall.
No, that's as big as a child. I hate that.
It is. It was literally his own size. And this boy was around, what was he, like 5, I think? And this doll was
so the thing was big.
It was his.
Than him then.
It was his height. So, Robert Eugene Otto loved this doll so much that he named it after himself. From then on, calling the doll Robert and calling himself Eugene. And in some accounts that I read, the parents had asked him, why did you name it after yourself? And he's like, because Robert wanted it. He wanted that name. That's what he said to name. So I was like, okay. So the outfit that Robert the doll currently wears was once Eugene Otto's clothing. There's a photo of him that I saw where he's wearing the outfit with the hat and everything. So he used to dress this doll in his clothes. The doll had a spot at the table, the dinner table, where one source I heard said he would like pretend to feed it food. And the parents just thought, okay, maybe he's just a lonely little boy, you know, like maybe this is like, it's his size and maybe he just wants a friend or whatever. But then Eugene's parents would hear him whispering to the doll, which they thought was normal, like kids play stuff. And then they heard a deep voice whispering back. And they were like, oh, but this is like a really deep voice, like, can our son do this? You know, can he make this voice? So that's where they started questioning things. Is this doll alright? They thought it was a bit weird that he was so attached to the doll, like it went everywhere with him. And it was awkward for him to carry it because it's like his size, you know. So one night when he was around 10 years old, Eugene's mother heard him scream for help and the sounds of furniture being turned over. Eugene had woken up to find Robert sitting at the end of his bed, staring at him. His mother struggled to open the locked door, which he had not locked, and she saw her son curled up in his bed in fear. The room was a wreck, and the doll was just like sitting there at the end of the bed, just like looking at him. And the mom was obviously like worried and confused and, you know, annoyed at the state of the room. But Eugene just said, Robert did it. Which would become a thing where things would happen and he'd say, Robert did it. To him, it wasn't him doing it. We don't know if it was him doing it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So the parents had also allegedly seen the doll's expression change and they'd heard giggling. They also caught glimpses of Robert the doll running upstairs. He was also seen...
That is disgusting.
Yeah. He was also seen staring out of upstairs windows. So once Eugene's aunt was over... And she had heard the stories of the doll, and she decided to put the doll in the attic because she's like, okay, you need to separate this boy from this doll. This is not really like a healthy thing. And that same night she had a stroke and died.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
I think Robert didn't like being put into the attic. So even though he
Don't
stayed...
back Robert up in a corner. Nobody backs Robert up in a corner.
So despite him being in the attic, the family could still hear him moving in the upstairs part of the house. They heard footsteps and giggling and things like that. The parents and the siblings heard it. Eventually he grew up and he went off to the University of Virginia to study architecture for 2.5 years. Eugene then went on to study painting at the Academy of Fine Arts in Chicago for 3 years. Then he moved to Paris from New York, where he got himself a studio, and he there met his future wife, Annette Parker. She was originally from New England, and she was in Paris studying music. They got married on May the 3rd, 1930, at the American Cathedral in Paris. So he's been away from home for like over 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
They moved back to the United States, to New York City, in the mid-1930s, and they stayed there for a while, but then in the 1940s, Eugene got word that his mother was ill, so he moved back to his childhood home in Key West. I assume the father was already dead because when his mother died, the siblings signed their shares of the estate over to Eugene and his wife Annette. Then they moved into the house. And that's when Annette was finally introduced to Eugene's true love, Robert the doll.
Oh, if you get introduced to a doll, first of all, run for the hills.
Yeah, especially with something that... I mean, he's such a handsome boy. He's the best looking little boy ever. But he's got a unique look. You know?
No comment.
So Annette wasn't particularly comfortable with how close her grown-ass husband was to this creepy doll.
With the doll.
Yeah. At first, he had the doll in their room until Annette was like, no, this is like creeping me out. Yeah.
Goodbye.
So then he put Eugene put Robert the doll into the attic and made it into like a special room for him. Like he made it into a proper room, like there was kids' furniture.
Was a child.
Yeah, there was kids' furniture. He got a teddy bear. It was just like his space. And then this room became Eugene's art studio. So then he would paint and Robert would be by his side. And apparently, whenever Eugene would do or say anything hurtful to Annette, he would say, I didn't do it, Robert did it. So,
oh gosh, you need to see someone.
In the 1940s, stories began to go around town about this man and his creepy doll. Kids hated walking by the house because they said that the doll's eyes or face would move to follow them, or it would move from window to window and just stare at them. So they would walk past, look at it, it'll be in one window, they'd look again, it'll be in the next window.
Oh,
so
imagine it was just Eugene holding the doll up in the different windows.
That would be amazing. Oh my word. So, Robert Eugene Otto, he died the 24th of June in 1974, which is so recent, in a hospital in Miami due to Parkinson's disease. After this, Annette found out that she was written out of his will. In a letter from one of Jean's sisters to a nephew, she stated that Eugene was upset because Annette's mother had written her out of her will, or written him out of her will, or something like that. So, because...
It's not her blood family.
Exactly. So it was like, so now you're going to punish your wife because... of her mom.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So he instead left everything to his sister, but Annette did own the house with Eugene, so she could sell it, and she sold it to William Gazer. She gave Robert to this man and told him, quote, "That doll was Jean's best friend. Of course, he never had any other friends." Annette moved to Massachusetts and lived with her sister for the next 5 years until she died in January 1979 from pancreatic cancer. Robert now lives in East Martello Museum. He's been there since 1994, and he's still wearing the sailor suit and hat that had once belonged to Eugene. He is locked in a glass case. But I saw sources where it said that when he was first brought to the museum, he was put in his case, and then later on he would be found in a different part of the museum, like just out of his case in a different part. So either someone was playing tricks or he was moving out of there.
I hope someone just has a fucking fucked up sense of humor.
Yeah. So over the years, the museum has received apology letters from visitors who say they were cursed by Robert when they made fun of him or broke his rules. So the rules are, first you must introduce yourself, and then if you want to take a picture of him, you need to ask for permission. If his head tilts, then permission is not granted, and you must say goodbye and, be respectful, kind of thing. So, a direct quote here: "One example can be found over at TripAdvisor by a reviewer who managed to snap not one but 3 photos of Robert without asking permission. Afterwards, his camera stopped working, and all of the photos he had taken in Key West disappeared. And wouldn't you know it, when he got home from vacation, he began to hear, quote, strange noises during the night," unquote. If you don't get permission from him, or you just take pictures without asking permission, he will, like, your cameras or your devices will stop working, and then when you get away from that area, it'll work fine again. Or you'll get in a car accident, or like some people have written in and were like, "I've had terrible financial problems since I took a picture of you and I'm so sorry." So like literally the museum has the letters on the wall of like people apologizing to him because once they disrespected his rules, whatever, they fell into hard times. So yeah, it's...
But I also wonder if it's like the case of almost attracting bad things to you, because you keep on thinking, "Oh, I've taken this picture without asking for permission," or whatever, and you keep on thinking about it, and you keep on thinking, "Oh, something bad's gonna happen," or even subconsciously thinking that.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe
because
via law of attraction just attracted the bad things to you.
Yeah, because even on the one video I saw of a tour of him, people were commenting like, Hi Robert, I'm so sorry that I watched this without your permission. I love you, bye." Comments like that where people would, "Oh, I saw a picture of you without your permission. I'm so sorry, please forgive me." Like, that sort of thing.
Oh my goodness.
Like hundreds of comments of people just, "I'm sorry." I mean, when I was researching him, I didn't even want to look at his picture. I was like scrolling past it. You don't know if it's
so like... Yeah. Exactly. It's so drilled into you that this is something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
That I think you start believing it yourself. And I think that's also where, you might be attracting some bad things. That being said, I'm not going to go look at his photo.
Oh, yeah, luckily I have to post pictures. Thanks.
I'm so glad I said I can't edit this weekend.
Yeah,
and I'll edit the next episode.
Yeah, don't swipe left when you look when I post it. Don't go to the next pictures. Yeah, so that's creepy Robert the doll. But by creepy, I mean the most handsome, wonderful boy ever.
Man boy doll. Doll boy man. Man doll boy.
It's like Man Bear Pig from South Park. Alright, well.
Continue.
That
was us.
Oh, yes, well, this is Law and Omen, and we're signing out. Is that what we say?
I don't know. If you like us on Facebook and Instagram at Law and Omen.
Yeah, we've got a website, lawanomen.com, where you can find all the episodes.
You can email us at info@lawanomen.com.
Yeah.
Join us again next week and tell all your friends about us and like our posts, please.
Yeah.
And have a great week.
Yeah, keep safe and don't do bad things.
Yeah, don't do bad things to people or to yourself.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.